Welcome back. It's time for business, and for that I'm joined by a business editor, Owen Fairclough. Hello, Owen. Starting with some grim figures from Crédit Agricole, a reminder that Greece isn't quite solved yet.
Absolutely, Claire. This is the last of the big three, Crédit Agricole in France, the big three banks, I should say, to give its latest results. And really taking the brunt of the losses out of those big three French banks. Those are the numbers on the board for you there. Its loss widening to just over €3 billion for the last quarter. That was compared to just around €328 million for a year earlier. So you can see a significantly greater loss. Once again, it's Greece. The bank having to write down around €220 million for Greece in the last quarter. Now, according to their statement this morning, their total Greek exposure amounts to around €5.5 billion. That's quite a bit more than its competitors here in France, but it is busy unwinding those positions and just confirming, we knew this already, that it will not be paying shareholders a dividend for 2011.
Now let's stay with banks but move to the UK, because RBS is going to face some more tough questions with its full-year results.
Yeah, who would you rather be today? The chief exec of Crédit Agricole or RBS? Difficult choice. I would say maybe Crédit Agricole, because of course the RBS chief executive Stephen Hester was under massive public pressure to hand back his bonus in the wake of fresh public outcries over banker bonuses. Remember, RBS is majority owned by the British taxpayer, so he's become very much the new whipping boy for public anger. RBS's full year results, £2 billion. That's double the forecast. That's the fourth year in a row since that bank was bailed out by the British government that it's recorded a loss. But this is a big one, and this is likely to wind up the public a bit more in the UK. It confirms it has around £400 million in its bonus pool to pay out, so some people will do okay. I put a few other earnings up on the board for you there, if we can just bring that back up. Commerzbank, the German bank as well, back in profit for the fourth quarter. I put that up because there were rumours that Commerzbank was going to need some sort of bailout for the German government, but it appears to be doing okay so far. British American Tobacco having a decent earnings season, and Esprit, the Hong Kong-based clothes maker, profits down 74%. I don't think there's anything to do with the fact that I can never find any jeans to fit me in that shop. Always slightly too small, but I'm sure that's not the reason.
Now, a pretty flat day's trading so far. What about here in Europe, though? How have the markets opened up?
I think you summed it up just so, Claire. Flat here in Europe. Remember, we've got some growth figures coming out a little later this Thursday, likely to suggest that European GDP is going to have to be revised downwards in the wake of that Greek bailout. There you can see the three markets here in Europe all pretty flat at the opening bell. The Asian markets choppy as well, just the Nikkei managing to finish the day's trade with around 0.5% of gains. The Hang Seng, though, around 0.8% down, and you can see there the Shanghai Composite just managing to find some gains too.
Right, let's get back to Europe, because we've got a new battle brewing in the skies. India's become the latest country to square up to the EU over the new carbon tax on airlines. It joins the world's key emerging and established economies in a new alliance that could make life more difficult for passengers. William Edwards reports.
The EU's new emission trading scheme, or ETS, has barely taken off, but already it's hitting turbulence. 29 countries signed a declaration condemning the new carbon trading system for airlines at a meeting in Moscow on Wednesday. Among those present were Russia, the US, China and India. Many countries object to what they see as an overextension of EU sovereignty.
The EU's carbon tax is targeted on all flights coming into and going out of the EU airports, and charging fees for the emission during the entire range of flight, which is obviously beyond its jurisdiction.
The signatories at the Moscow conference agreed to a range of possible retaliatory measures, many of them against EU airlines. These could include imposing new levies, halting talks on new routes, and, in Russia's case, charging EU carriers to fly across Siberian airspace. For its part, the EU says what it really wants is a global carbon trading system, but in the absence of such a scheme, it will press ahead with its own plans. The bloc's climate commissioner took to Twitter to defend the ETS.
Unfortunately, our question for Moscow meeting participants remains unanswered. What's your concrete, constructive alternative?
Despite the tough talk from both sides, there remains hope that a compromise will be reached. Many nations and the EU say the best way to resolve the dispute would be through the UN's International Civil Aviation Organization.
OK, let's pick up on one or two more of the day's business headlines for you, starting with US President Barack Obama, who has announced a cut to corporate tax as part of a pre-election fiscal reform plan. Obama wants to reduce corporate tax from the current rate of 35% to 28%, and also close a number of loopholes that his administration calls fundamentally unfair. Leading Republican contender Mitt Romney has proposed a 25% rate, while other challengers want to bring it down as low as 12.5%.
Warner Music Group is trying to upstage Vivendi's bid for British record label EMI. That's according to Bloomberg sources. The US firm is believed to be lobbying EU and US competition authorities so it can block Vivendi's $2 billion buyout of EMI. Opponents of the Vivendi deal say it would give its own music label Universal an unfair position in the industry.
And HP's profits have dropped for a second successive quarter. First quarter earnings for the world's largest personal computer manufacturer fell by 44%. PC sales alone were down by a quarter. CEO Meg Whitman said that HP's computers haven't been compelling enough, in her words, to attract more customers.
Now, Sunday's Oscars ceremony will be an intriguing battle between European-flavoured films and Hollywood. But to find the real financial winner right now, you need to head north to Vancouver. The West Coast Canadian city is fast becoming a movie maker's venue of choice because it represents such good value.
Specially trained forces seize an enemy location. But these aren't real soldiers, they're actors. And this isn't Hollywood, it's Hollywood North. Vancouver has become the third largest filmmaking center in North America, close behind New York and LA. In this booming industry, extras are in high demand.
By the director or the AD.
Lloyd's casting agency books more than 3,000 every year.
BC5 was created to provide productions, mainly US productions, with background performers who could safely handle weapons. This one is fake, but you choose for training, on sets and tactical movements.
But well-trained background performers aren't the only attraction. The unlikely destination offers filmmakers all kinds of different perks.
It offers year-round shooting, 12 months a year, whereas it's a little more difficult in Toronto. The regional tax credits and the provincial tax credits, they're all very good to the corporate side.
Shoots that hire locals get an additional 60% tax break. An incentive Dave says convinced him to move his special effects company from Toronto.
Vancouver was a place that was getting a lot of work in big film, and it seemed like the place to come to do the kind of work I did.
It seems that Hollywood North is quickly becoming Tinseltown's coolest competitor.
Good stuff, isn't it? Who would you bank on for the Oscars then?
I think the artists will do pretty well. It's done very well so far, hasn't it?
It does look stunning, doesn't it? I've yet to see it. Mentioning the artist, of course, that is up for Best Film, I think, as well. And we will have a report on the financial impact of French movies on Hollywood for that Oscars ceremony on Monday. We will be on air, I think, during that ceremony. It kicks off around about 8 p.m. in LA. Of course, we'll be bringing you the updates to that through the morning. But on the business show on Monday, we will be looking at whether French movies really do get a lift from Oscar nominations in the US.
All right, thanks very much, Owen, for that look at the day's business news. And thank you for watching. Do stay tuned to France 24 or the latest headlines in just a few minutes' time.